he has been dominant. The 111 defending Suzuki GNCC champion, Juha Salminen, has defeated the best efforts of the competition early in 2006. Can the friendly Finn keep it going? We'll soon find out.
Welcome, I'm Rachel Ayers.
And I'm Rodney Smith, 5-time GNCC champion.
And you're watching Racer TV. We're here at round number 3 of the Grand National Cross Country Series, the world's premier off-road racing circuit. We're here in the beautiful hills of North Carolina for the Steele Creek GNCC. Rodney, this has always been a difficult track. Why is that?
Well, here in North Carolina, we got this creek, Rachel, that you were talking about. But it's not just this creek we have involved. We got the hills of North Carolina that are real steep and demanding out there.
I know Juha has been the man to beat the last 2 races. What do you think of that's going to play into today?
Yeah, definitely Juha. He's shown that he's the man out there to beat. He's won the last 2 races. He won the championship last year, and he's definitely going to be strong.
We don't want to count out those young boys. I know Charlie Mullins has been up there on the podium the last 2 weekends. We definitely don't want to count him out.
No, and definitely got Glenn Carney that rode a consistent year last year, finished 3rd, but he never won a GNCC. And I think he's hungry to get out there. He's gotten on the podium once this year already, and I think he's looking for that top position.
Do you think Juha has more experience this year, considering that he isn't at new tracks anymore? Last year, it was his first year here, and he had never seen any of these tracks. Do you think that's going to help him in the long run?
Yeah, definitely. He knows how to prepare and set up the bike for the different tracks and stuff now because he's familiar with them. So that's even going to make it tougher for us Americans and the other racers. Yeah. But at the same time, it's starting to become week in and week out for him, and I think he can let his guard down, and you can get a guy like Charlie Mullins or even a Glenn Carney or a Mike Lafferty or maybe even myself that can sneak in there and start putting some pressure on him.
Yeah, you never know when something crazy is going to happen. Let's head on down to the start. We're going to see how it goes today.
Well, thanks a lot, Rachel and Rodney. We are ready to go racing. Jason Wygant down here in the starting line. You see the pros lined up behind me, but behind them, several hundred amateur racers who will be riding the track at the same time. It's very tight woods trails here, which means it's very hard to lap those riders. It's almost like running into a pace car. That should lead to tight racing all day long. What kind of track are they going to have to face getting around those riders? Let's find out with our SSCOTT USA helmet cam. Well, here it is, the mad rush into the first turn. Everyone starts out side by side. It won't last that way for long, as you see through the eyes of the SSCOTT USA helmet cam. A couple of twisted turns and the wide open stuff. If you can't make your passes there, it's going to be a long day because it quickly narrows down into double and single track trails. And that's where these guys really excel, in the very tight twisting woods, the deep ruts, the roots, and the hill climbs. And of course, that Steele Creek here in North Carolina. That's our helmet cam. This is our lineup by order of the points. Juha Salminen from Vanta, Finland, out front, 2 for 2 on wins so far this year. Mike Lafferty is your 7-time AMA National Enduro champ and getting it done in GNCC this year as well with a pair of podiums. Glenn Carney out of Australia, as Rodney mentioned at the top of the show, he was 3rd in the year last year, very consistent, looking for his first ever career win here in the United States. How about Fast Freddie Andrews on the comeback tour after a rough season last year? He looks rejuvenated and very determined. We'll see if that pays off here at Steele Creek. We start with the engines off, the green flag waves, and we're underway. Unbelievable, the field blasting through, and you see it is the 1-1-1. That is Juha getting a whole shot from Racer Excellent, giving him a couple $100 in his pocket. And that's bad news for the rest of these guys. The last thing you want to see is Juha get a whole shot. He is so fast early in the race. If he doesn't have anyone in front of him, it could be over already. And he tucks it in. Actually, it is Glenn Carney on the number 3 going to try to keep him in sight. And it's very hard for these guys to adjust. Usually they pace themselves early in the race where they learn the track. Juha, he waits for nothing, and it's a mad scramble right now to try to see him and stay on his rear wheel. Look at this field, and this is just the pro class. We have several hundred amateur riders out here as well. They start in 1-minute increments, so this track will be filled with riders before long. Juha into the Steele Creek for the first time. A line pointed out to him by a member of the KTM crew. He stays all the way to the right, and you get very muddy going through that section. You can go to the left and stay dry, but it's rough out there. Looks like Rodney Smith, but Rodney's going to go through that section, and he's bumping and banging his way through there on the RM250. Look at this pack. Early in the race, everyone fighting for position. You've got Paul Whibley out of New Zealand. There's Josh McLeavy on the Kawasaki, and Barry Hawk, our 2003 GNCC champ, leading his young teammate, Charlie Mullins, who has been a revelation this year. He is only 20 years old. Another young rider is Nate Canny out of New York. He picks the wide line coming through there. And bad news, U-Haul already trying to put some distance on Glenn Carney, but how about our boy Rodney Smith? His best start of the year. We're just getting started. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Racer TV. GNCC action brought to you by Suzuki, ITP, Moose Racing, Yamaha, Polaris, and Rocky Mountain. Out front, Juha Salmon, and no surprise there. He is our dominant series champ. It is Glenn Carney right now trying to keep him in sight. And how about Rodney Smith? Our man Rodney with a pair of first-turn crashes starting this year off. Today he is up and okay early. And we'll see if anyone's got the stuff to run with the 1-1-1. Rodney might be the man to do it. He has had some injuries lately he's been dealing with, trying to get back to 100%. Lafferty there in fourth. That big KTM kicking all over the place. There is Mullins, the young rookie. Barry Hawk there as well. Is that Wibley on the Honda? Yes, it is. He's a rider out of New Zealand. So an international field, and the rider from Finland is ahead of it. There is Carney in the number 2 spot. And there's Rodney Smith. It's been a long time since we've seen Rodney up front at the front of these races. It's got to be a revelation for him. Now this section is very tricky, a lot of tree roots there. You've got to be gentle with the throttle and try to pick the right lines. You see Rodney sits down a lot through these sections, back down on the seat. In contrast, Charlie Mullins going to stand up all the way through there. Everyone's got different ideas on how to get through these sections. It's all about trying to maintain your balance on a very tricky off-camber section with tree roots. Barry Hawk actually ricocheting down. All the way to the bottom goes, that's Robbie Jenks. There is New Zealander Wibley and an English rider, Ryan Vos right there. And there's our man, Josh McLeavy in the 117. That's a Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki ride. All these guys up inside the top 10, and they're chasing Juha again. But this is where he's very dangerous. He got that RacerX hole shot, and he makes it very, very difficult. He is so good at reading the terrain. There is not practice or pre-running out here. These guys are seeing the track for the very first time. So guys like Jenks and Hawk battling back here, they are learning the lines as they are racing. And that is what Juha Salminen is so good at, standing up, incredible balance, always in control, using the right side, the inside line through this Steele Creek again. Has to take the feet off the pegs only momentarily, and for the rest of the section, able to maintain his balance. He is beginning to add a little gap between himself and Carney, the young Australian. And here's Rodney Smith again. So Rodney trying to stay in there. Now what's interesting is that Glenn Carney spends a lot of the year living at Rodney's house. They ride together and train together. It's kind of the teacher and the student. We have not really seen them hook up much in the races. So today might be the first time we see the Glenn and Rodney shootout that we hear about happening all the time up at Rodney's Northern California home. Now a couple of mistakes out of Juha. Carney starting to push the pace because Rodney is coming after him. So the Suzuki riders are trying to push each other. Here is Rodney on the gas hard, letting it all hang out. What? Rodney just ran in to someone on the side of the racetrack, and you hear, so the language from Rodney, he is not happy about that at all. He had worked very, very hard to get to the rear wheel of his teammate, and he lost valuable time. Not track position, but valuable time that will be very hard to make up with Juha sprinting early in this race. Let's go to our pro tip, Pro ATV racer, William Yoakley.
Hello and welcome to the Rocky Mountain ATV Pro Tip of the Week. Join with me is factory Suzuki racer William Yoakley. I know you depend on a good bike for racing. What else is important? Well,
along with a good bike, you gotta have this in the parts. And one of the first things that I do when I go racing is I get dressed, and first thing I do is put on my ARC racing gear that I get from Rocky Mountain, and put on my SSCOTT goggles, and then I go, obviously to my GNCC ITP tires that are basically designed and developed for these type conditions. Once I get all that stuff together, I'm pretty much ready to go racing.
Well, check out Rocky Mountain ATV for all your racing needs.
All right, thanks a lot, Rachel and William. Check out Rocky Mountain ATV and MC. We got to take a commercial break. Check us out when we return. GNCC Racing returns here from North Carolina on OLN. Brought to you by Suzuki, ITP, Rocky Mountain MC, Moose Racing, Yamaha, and Polaris. Juha Salminen out front and out of the pits. Looking over his shoulder, he's in good shape. No worries about this guy, Glenn Carney. He's back there. He's got something to drink. He's got a fresh tank of gas. And he's out of the number 2 spot. Here comes Rodney Smith now in podium position for the first time in a long time in GNCC. Good to see Rodney, the 5-time champ, back up there after some crashes early in the season have held him back. Now he's got some words of encouragement from his wife, Lori, and Rodney is motivated. And look at this, working his way through lap traffic. Now Rodney has been fast again. We've seen a couple of mistakes and a couple of crashes. That has prevented him from running with Carney and Salmon. There's Mullins. And Mike Lafferty hanging it out too. This track getting very, very rough. And that big KTM kicking in every direction. Lafferty, a big, strong rider, does not care about that. Now Robbie Jenks and Josh McLeavy battling. Barry Hawk up inside the top 10. Now back to our leader, Juha. And this is what we're talking about, lap traffic. We mentioned it at the top of the show. This track is very tight. Look at what Glenn Carney has to deal with here. Just a total mess out there on the racetrack. And now, oh, Rodney has caught him. Thanks to lap traffic. Rodney goes very, very fast today. He has shaken Charlie Mullins. He's after Carney, his teammate. Lafferty did the traffic as well. Just able to sneak by those guys. He's got Jenks and McLeavy right there with him. Now here's Barry Hawk. He had a DNF in Georgia. That sapped a lot of momentum from Hawk's championship drive, and he's just trying to get back into recovery mode and score some points today. Juha, now with a little bit of clear racetrack, picking and choosing his line through the woods, a lot of different ways to go, and there are some ruts left over from a race of the ATVs earlier this weekend, and that just opens up the trail even more. Now Carney, not the best line through there. He had to make a couple twists and turns that Juha did not make, and he had less momentum over these loops. Look at Rodney going all the way to the left. Much smoother line. Very similar to what we saw Juha take. Mullins as well picks the left side. So Carney's going to cost himself some energy. And that's the deal, man. Juha is just unbelievable. The guy does not look that fast, but he does every little thing right, and it adds up. Now Mullins has caught. Oh, he's caught Carney. What happened to Rodney Smith? Battle is on for the number 2 spot. We've lost Rodney again, and suddenly it is Mullins and Carney, the two young riders, battling for second place. Rachel, we knew lap traffic was going to be a big factor out here. Juha Salmon on his way to this mud hole. It's already been a wild section. What's going to happen when he comes here with other riders in the way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen people go up through this route right here and go behind us, and it's always been a tough area to go through. Juha's still running away, but we're keeping track of Glenn, and now it looks like Charlie Mullins is getting up there too.
Right, Charlie Mullins on a charge. He split the Suzuki guys, but it's actually coming down to gas stop strategy being a factor as well. Now we see our leader, Juha, checking in, and watch the line. Early in the race, Juha was using the mud all the way on the right, now fading to the left. Trying to stay dry and out of harm's way with all that lap traffic.
We're definitely going to have to keep track of the next two people coming in, Glenn and Charlie, to see if they go through the same line, if they're going to split and try to pass one each other down when it goes to the bridge.
Now Mullins did use that right side line as Rachel was talking about. There's Rodney doing the same thing. And Juha decided to go to the outside. Let's show you exactly the difference between those two lines. There is Salmon, and there is Mullins on the right. Salmon on the left. Salmon is bumping, banging his way through the whoops. Mullins is already out and gone from that section. So Charlie actually made up some time there, and that is the difference between a rider who's hungry coming through the pack, and that's where you see how hard Carney and Mullins are going. Salmon with the lead, he doesn't need to take those chances. Every time you go through water, you never know what's under that stuff. A rock or a root can grab your front wheel and take you down, but Mullins and Carney are letting it all hang out. They do not care about that. They will throw the caution to the wind. Carney is through the pits. He took gas earlier. Now Charlie Mullins has to stop for gas in the factory and pro Yamaha pit. So all that work he put in to get to Glenn Carney, it's all for naught now. He's got a lot of time to make up. So the youngster out of Hamilton, Ohio, back out on the racetrack, but he's got to make up some ground on the young Australian. Now the two KTM guys going at it, Jenks and Lafferty. These guys are buddies. I don't know how fun this battle is or not, because Lafferty just got a face full of roost from Robbie Jenks and vice versa, right back at you as they continue to battle for the number 5 spot of the KTMs. Here we go. Lafferty trying to get around. Jenks, look at how hard these guys are pushing, and there's not much margin of error there. Man, you get sideways and run into a tree. Trees don't move. It's like hitting a brick wall. No problems for you at all. Running it very tall here, low in the power band, low in the RPMs, so he doesn't spin tires on these routes. He's feathering the clutch, trying to get a handful of throttle, a little bit of extra boost. Juha doesn't ride that way, man. He just tries to control that power the entire time. Now Rodney Smith has gotten involved in the battle of the KTM boys. So Rodney, he's had a long day already. He's been up and down and up and down. Right now, back out front of the KTM boys. Here they come battling again. And look at that, like, great move by Lafferty to split through. So he makes the move on Jenks. Jenks out of Ohio, Lafferty out of New Jersey, but they're buddies on the KTM team. They like riding with each other and racing with each other. Well, they're probably having a fairly good time doing it. But you know they wish they were up there with Juha, Carney here in the number 2 spot, or Mullins, who is in 3rd. Mullins trying to make up ground again on Carney. Back to the Steel Creek again. It's our Suzuki special test this week. Juha looks over, he sees a lap rider using the inside line. He'll go to the outside again. That outside line is rough, man. A lot of physical energy used in that section. What the heck, mental energy as well. Juha says he's actually had such big leads in these races, the guys actually had to work on maintaining his focus, maintaining his concentration. If he makes one mistake, Carney will make that ground back up, and all the work Juha put in will be for naught. So he's got to keep his head down and focused on this racetrack. Charlie Mullins doing the same thing right now as he tries to get into the top 2. Welcome back, GNCC Racing, part of the Racer TV package, brought to you by Suzuki, ITP, Rocky Mountain, Yamaha, Moose, and Polaris. Your leader is Juha Salmon, and no surprise there, the guy is just a machine. Week after week, error-free, pulling away. Now Carney's back into the pits. He was in second place, and Mullins, well, they're not taking any chances. Mullins back into the pit again. A lot closer this time, though. Mullins are going to get after it. That young man is determined. Let's see. We've got a battle on our hands now for the number 2 spot. Carney and Mullins. Here we go. This track is very slippery. It's like riding on ice. All the good dirt. Well, they've already roosted that away. They're riding on some very slippery terrain. It is bumpy, it is rocky. There are tree roots. And yet still, guys like Mike Lafferty continuing to hammer. These are 3-hour races. These guys got to be tired, too. And very hard to maintain your focus for that long. Rodney Smith all over the place on that Suzuki. He has been up and down today. Earlier, he was battling with Carney. Carney has now got a challenge from Mullins. And oh, Mullins tried to make a move on the inside. No pressure at all on Juha Salmon. And he's going to let those guys settle it between themselves for second. And finally, Mullins has burst through. So the door's been busted down. Mullins has taken over. Oh, and just as I say that, Mullins runs into a lapped rider and stalls the bike. Carney, if he can get back on the gas and rebound here, I think the wind was out of his sails once Mullins pulled away. But now no leader is safe in GNCC racing, not even Juha Salmon. And you never know when one of those slower riders is going to slow you up, take you down. And Juha knows it, man. He says every race is a new race. Just because he won in dominant fashion, in fact, the first 2 rounds, he did not take round 3 here in Steele Creek lightly, and it paid off. Well, Mullins tried to too much of a shortcut there. You got to go around the ribbon at least, Charlie, and he did. He managed to stay on the track. Carney, I'll tell you what, he ran so hard early trying to keep up with Salmon, and I would not be surprised if he used up a little bit too much energy early. These are 3-hour races. You can't run flat out for 3 hours. It's just not physically possible. And where Mullins was cruising early, Carney, he was running as hard as he possibly could. We'll see if Glenn is able to find, well, not even a second win, a 4th or 5th win this late in the game to try to go after Mullins and get in the number 2 spot. Another solid day for Mike Lafferty. He's in the number 4 spot. Here's Juha again. Now, it does seem like this guy's able to go flat out all day, but he uses so little energy, so few mistakes. Look at that. He gets through those trees. He actually pumps his fist. He's so happy that he's able to get through that tree section so well. Mullins, well, he goes around it. Juha picking the straight line. He's accurate enough to go right in between those 2 very tight trees. And look at what Glenn Carney has to deal with. Not only the trees, but the lap traffic as well. It's Lafferty working his way through along with Chanks. Lafferty on the big thundering 4-stroke KTM. Only rider at the top of this list choosing to ride the 4-stroke. A little heavier, but it's got a lot of power. Look at that. Juha actually waves to one of the KTM crew members. You see him there, who are pointing out the good lines. And this is the difference. Juha gets to that section easily. These are some of the amateur riders out here. They are slipping and sliding. These guys are good at what they do, but Juha is an international phenomenon. And look at the speed differential between Juha and the rest of these guys. There's Mullins now, finally through that mud hole. Those ruts are now frame deep. They've been going through them all day long. And then when you get to the other side of the bank, it's like riding on ice because the mud has been splashed up to the other side. And Juha gets through it like it's not even there. The rest of these guys are struggling. There's no doubt about it. We're trying to pick up which one of the other riders are coming through. Give credit to all these lappers, though. These are the workaday heroes. They're coming out here and racing out of their own pocketbook and doing it for fun. It's available for every rider and every machine in GNCC. From the top contenders like Robbie Jenks there. There's Josh McLeavy. Fred Andrews here in the number 10. But all the way down to the novice riders and beginners, there's something for everyone here in GNCC. Rodney Smith, 42 years of age. He's still a contender in the pro class. Here's Barry Hawk. Have not seen much of Barry today. Trying to get the Yamaha sorted out when he was unable to finish in Georgia. That's valuable on-track time as far as dialing in the bike. He missed out. These runs hard. Some of these riders hitting it harder than others. That's what you need to do. Use momentum. It can be your friend, and that's what Juha does, man. He very rarely comes to a complete stop. He runs a gear tall and just rolls the bike through the difficult portions of the racetrack. There is Charlie Mullins in the number 2 spot. Great ride from behind by Charlie today. Glenn Carney, he was strong off the start. He'll have just enough steam to hold on for 3rd place today. But bad news for the rest of these guys. Juha Salminen, no challenge whatsoever, and Juha is 3 for 3 here in 2006.
Yeah, I'm happy. Just lost my voice, you know, that lappers, you have to scream for the lappers, so. But yeah, good race, good start. After that, you know, yeah, just control the race, look what other guys doing behind, and pretty good. I'm happy, yeah.
Well, of course the guy's happy. He's 3 for 3 this year. He was your champion last year. He is undefeated and really unthreatened so far in 2006. He is a dynamo. Congratulations to Glenn Carney and Charlie Mullins on great rounds today. For Rachel Ayers and Rodney Smith, I'm Jason Wygant. We'll see you next week right here on Racer TV.
The Grand National Cross Country Championship is sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. Rights, Riding, Racing. AMA. Join now. Call 1-800-AMA-JOIN.